So welcome to 7.1. This is how we start. So this is called the sum of a geometric series. So just to refresh your memory, geometric just means that you have a set of numbers and you're multiplying by a number to get the next term. So let's just say in this case, our ratio, our R is equal to 4. So 3 times 4 is equal to 12. 12 times 4 is equal to 48, and so on, dot, dot, dot. Okay. So just to refresh your memory again, this is called the first term. So A1, um, the common ratio is the number that you multiply by. So this gets multiplied by 4, multiplied by 4, right? And then the N is the term number. Okay. Term number. All right. So let's use that information to help us. So what we're doing here is we're looking for a geometric series, the sum of, which means sum means that you are going to add all the numbers up, dot, dot, dot. So there's a formula for that. So it says, which of the following represents the sum of a geometric series? As soon as we see that, we have to think of this formula right here. Just going to put this highlighted. So we're going to go ahead and write that formula down. A1 minus A1 times R. I'm going to encourage you to put that R in parentheses, even though it's not there, to the n power all over 1 minus, and again, the R goes in parentheses. All right, so stay with me. There's a reason why I'm telling you to do that. All right, so now let's just go ahead and plug numbers in. So which of the following represents the sum of a series with 8 terms? So n is equal to 8. So I'm annotating the question, whose first term, boom, A1 is equal to 3, and whose common ratio is 4. So our R is equal to 4. So all we're going to do now is we're going to plug in these numbers. Okay, so our A1 is our first term, which is 3 in this case. So I go 3 minus. Our A1, you put that down again. So 3, I told you put parentheses. The R goes next. So the R in this case is 4. To the n power, the n is equal to 8. So I put an 8 right there, all over. And it's always 1 minus, and our R again here is 4, is equal to. You take literally that. This is my calculator, right? So I'm going to go show you just real quick how to put fractions in the calculator again. So it's alpha and y equals, and you get this little menu. Option number 1 is a fraction bar, right? So you do 3 minus, even though I typed it in at the top, 3 parentheses, 4, close parentheses, to the, which is this little mountain thing. You go there, that brings it to the top, so you go 8. Then you can either press over and down or just down, and then you go 1 minus, and I should have put that 4 in parentheses, which I did not, but it'll give you the same answer in this case. So you have 65,535. So the correct answer for this question is 65,535. Okay, so we're going to do some questions that look like Delta Math. So Ariana just started running a plan where she runs 7 miles the first week. So boom, that right there is our A1. And then increases the number of miles she runs by 10% each week. So for this one, she is increasing. So that's 1 plus 10% as a decimal. Remember to move the decimal 2 places to the left is 0.10. So 1 plus 0.10, or $1 plus 10 cents, is $1.10. So that right there is what goes in the parentheses. I'll talk to you about that in a second. She keeps up this plan for 12 weeks. So here is our n is equal to 12. Okay, so we have our A1, we have our R, and we have our n. Now we're going to go back, refreshing your memory. A1 minus A1 R to the n power, all over 1 minus R. This is our formula. Your R should be in parentheses. So now all we have to do is plug in some numbers. So our A1 is 7. She started off going 7 miles, minus, you put the 7 in again. Parentheses, our R, we just figured out, is 1 plus 0.10, which is $1.10. So 1.10 to the n power, here in this case is 12, all over 1 minus. And our R again is 1.10. So you take this, plug this into our calculator. So again, alpha y equals option number 1. So we're going to type in 7 minus 7 parentheses 1.10 close parentheses to the, remember if I'm going too fast to pause the video, to the 12th power, and then on the bottom I have 1 minus parentheses 1.10, close parentheses, enter. So total miles, right? This indicates sum. We are adding them. So it's 149.6899. It says to the nearest whole number. So that in this case is 149 point, right? So that's a 6, which means that you add 1 to 149. So this is about 150 miles altogether to the nearest whole number. All right. Next, large company put out blah, blah, blah. We don't really care. First sentence doesn't help us with anything. The first day, boom, there's an indication, right? First day, the company got 64 responses. So our A1 is 64, but the responses were declining, which means 1 minus 25%. So again, decimal 2 places to the left is 0.25. A dollar minus 25 cents is 75 cents, which is our R. And then if we keep reading, how many total responses, key indication that you have to use the formula A1 minus A1 times R to the n power all over 1 minus R. So now I'm going to just plug in some numbers, and in this case our n is equal to 8. So again, right, we're going to plug in. So our A1 is 64, so 64 minus 64 times. Inside the parentheses, I'm going to have 0.75 because a dollar minus 25 cents. And our n is to the 8th power. We're doing this 8 times minus 1 minus, 0.75. So again, pull out your handy dandy calculator. So alpha y equals option number 1, 64 minus 64 times our ratio is 0.75 to the, our n is 8. Go down, 1 minus parentheses 0.75. It is important that you put the ratio in parentheses. And again, we're rounding to the nearest whole number, so this is about 230. So about 230, which is our final answer. Okay. Last type of problem that you'll see is something that looks like this. So, all right. So there's a formula that you need to know that just should have magically appeared right here. So n, which is the number of terms, is always equal to, when you have something that looks like this, the upper, which is in this case 35. So I'm going to do 35 minus the lower, which in this case is 0, plus 1. So there's a reason why this happens. If you really care, then see me during lunch or before school at some point. 35 minus 0 is 35, plus 1 is 36. So our n in this case is 36. Let's label each of the other ones. So this number right here, the 60 is our starting number. So that's our A1. And then our ratio, which I'll go ahead and do in green, is the number that's inside the parentheses. So this is our R. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and write down the formula again. So A1 minus A1 times R to the n all over, right? 1 minus R. So now all you're doing is plugging stuff in. So our A1, I went ahead and did this in purple, so let me just be consistent, is 60 minus, you put your A1 in again, so 60 again. And then the next thing you're going to do is the R, so I'm going to go ahead and I just picked green for my R. Oopsie. There we go. So I'm going to do parentheses. So our R is what's in parentheses right here. So 1.25. I'm going to close my parentheses. My N, we just figured out, is equal to 36. So I put to the 36 power all over. And on the bottom, it's going to be 1 minus the R. So 1 minus my R again is 1.25. So I'm going to go ahead and pull my calculator up. Same thing, right? Alpha y equals option number 1, 60 minus, I think you're getting the hint of this, 60 parentheses, 1.25, close parentheses to the, in this case it's 36, go down, so 1 minus parentheses, 1.25, close parentheses, hit enter. and it happens to be this big number. And again, we're rounding it to the nearest whole number. So the nearest whole number, make sure you round it correctly. So that's, in this case, 739,317, because this number is a 0, which means that all of this drops. So 739,317. So 739,317. So this is the answer for the question. Okay. All right. Thanks for watching. Let me know if you have questions.